I'm a guy who gets pretty ticked off quite easily because I don't like it when people abuse other people, whether it's men abusing children or people just doing things against other people.
It's nice to see a few men here, and always when I'm in the company of women who are in this work and just with women who have to live with men, I always have a great appreciation because our privilege and entitlement really stops us as men from seeing a lot of what you experience on a daily basis. And that's one of the things we really try to bring awareness to at A Call to Men. We're a national organization, and our mission is to galvanize a national movement of men committed to ending violence against women.
We have, in this 21st century, a modern-day slave trade of epic proportions, and very little is being said about it. Each year, hundreds of thousands of people are being trafficked worldwide into a slave trade. The vast majority are young women and girls who fall prey to the global sex trade. And over the past decade, all kinds of alarm bells have been rung and set off about this human rights disaster. In that time, most nations around the world have passed laws. Problem is, they're not enforcing the laws. There are a myriad of reasons for this explosion of the worldwide flesh trade. And in Natasha's, I talk about them: extreme poverty, government corruption, the involvement of organized crime, the internet, and the patriarchal darkness in which much of society is still entrenched, the ever-increasing demand of men for paid sex, and the alarming moves by more and more governments to suddenly legalize prostitution.
And when we look at the commercial sexual exploitation industry, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry that makes more money than the NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball combined. So there's a lot of good guys supporting this, even though they're not necessarily the ones going to the brothel, or they're not necessarily the ones who are going to the strip club. We support it in so many other ways.
In economic parlance, women are the supply, and that part of the coin. And embedded in the supply side of the coin are these so-called push factors: extreme poverty, lack of education, and the eternal yearning of desperate human beings to want to improve their lives. You flip that coin and you get the demand side, and there are three key letters in demand: M-A-N. Without demand, there would be no supply. And this is Introduction into Economics 101. You can't get simpler than that. It is the man who convinces himself into thinking that because this woman accepts money, that everything is okay, because payment for sex is the ultimate conscience pacifier.
The men who we identify as the bad guys or as the perpetrators, right? That those men can only do what they do because the other men allow it. In other words, our silence, while we had talked about earlier, silence is not consent for a woman, silence is consent for men. That is our way of giving permission to other men. That is our way of saying it's okay. That is our way of saying, you mind your business with women and I'll mind my business with women.
They believe that silence is consent. And society blames these women for that silence without taking the time to understand the underlying reason for it. It comes from intimidation, it comes from terror, abuse, torture, dissociation, and shame. And their silence, like the silence of the vast majority of battered women, should never be taken as consent. So when I went looking into this research for the Johns book, I asked myself, who are these guys? Because I thought maybe it's some kind of lonely guy in his basement, some kind of pervert who sits there watching porn and getting his rocks off. No, the clients are ordinary men. Their fathers, husbands, sons, and brothers, CEOs of major corporations, bank managers, lawyers, judges, politicians, even your former governor here, union members, doctors, dentists, teachers, and even men of the cloth.
Sexism, just like racism. You can legislate it, but people have to make a choice, don't they? They have to start viewing people differently, don't they?
I get really frustrated when I hear people say, a woman has a right to do what she wants with her body. It's choice. It's not a choice for the vast majority. When you look at studies that show 86 to 94% of women desperately want out of this, where's the choice? And then when you hear people say it's about empowerment for women, I've got the money, I have the power. Get with the program. There is no empowerment.
And even though I may not be perpetrating the violence, I benefit from the violence that other men perpetrate, because it reinforces my status, privilege, and entitlement, and continues to oppress women.
Many of these women go home completely destroyed, and with very little money in their pocket. This is not the way we should be going in the 21st century. And I think we have to start standing up one after the other, and saying no to this calamity. Let's do something about it.